What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So if you guys watch any sort of real estate YouTube videos, I'd say like 99% you've seen Bryan Casella. Which, by the way, I think when you type in real estate in YouTube, Bryan Casella is like one of the first results. So it's,
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah. I also think it's so important to get as many different perspectives as possible. And that's why I like making these videos, because I believe there's no one right way to do a certain thing. I believe you can do something right 1,000 different times, and it's not like one way is better than another. It's just different, and they all work. So that's why I like doing these types of videos and having as many people on the channel as possible and getting as many different perspectives for you to hear from. And I mean, that's what I think is honestly the most important. So anyway, Bryan Casella is a real estate agent here in Los Angeles. So how did you end up getting into real estate in the first place?
Well, it was completely by just random flukeness, you know what I mean? I was going down a boulevard and I saw one of the signs that said make $100,000 your first year in real estate, and the way my mind works is I knew one person did it and they're the exception to the rule, but I know there's a way or something that they figured out to do it. So I said, I'm just going to learn what that person did and apply it, and I just went full steam ahead, man.
And how did you learn how to sell real estate in the beginning?
Well, a lot of it was mentorship. I literally was beating down on every single door of the top agents in my office, and all of them pretty much told me to piss off except for one, Fernando. One of the other guys started liking me, Nelson.
Yeah.
And I ended up being under Nelson's wing, and I said, dude, I'll do whatever it takes. If you want me to, you know, wipe your butt when you go to freaking the bathroom, dude, I'll do it. And I literally had to sit outside of his office, man, for days before he would let me in, because Fernando kind of passed me off, and he literally taught me everything from contracts to how to sell and everything. But I had to claw my way into his office if I could paint that picture, you know what I mean?
That was the same way for me. I would go to open houses every single Sunday to speak with different agents and then ask them their advice about getting in the industry. I would say 95% of agents were so discouraging that were telling me, don't do it, it's a bad business to be in, you should go to college is a big one.
Right.
You're too young, you're too inexperienced. So I'm surprised that like very few agents are actually encouraging of other people to get in the industry.
Yeah, well, we know that the average agent's doing horrible, that's why, you know, so I always tell people, if you're gonna get information from something, get it from a credible source, or somebody who's on the other side of the fence, right? Because how many people would tell you that these cars here are just a waste of your time and money, yet when you meet all these owners, they're smart, right? They're buying these cars as an investment, not just to blow $200 or $300 grand. You know?
Yeah, that was actually one of my first purchases, the first home I sold. I basically used almost all of the commission, and I bought a used 2006 Chrome Orange Lotus Elise cash.
Nice.
And I thought I was such a baller, just literally going to the bank, getting a cashier's check, buying the car. And at the time, so many people were telling me that's like a stupid choice. Maybe it was. But I ended up meeting so many cool people from that, getting in the car community, and making a few sales from the car. Just from being able to meet those people I wouldn't have ever been able to meet before.
Especially nowadays with social media, it's a different ballgame, right? If you have, you know, a Lotus or one of these cars, people automatically are going to assume that you're successful. And if you present the image and you're actually credible and you have the image, boom, done.
So how much does your image play into selling real estate?
A lot, right? We all know you only have a few seconds to make a first impression, so if already people see that you seem successful and they meet you and you're sharp and you know your stuff and you're an expert, then it makes it that much more easier to connect with somebody and get the sale. A lot of times, because of all the stuff that I've done on YouTube too, I send my clients that I meet, I'm like, don't even listen to me, go to my YouTube. And after watching a few videos, our next conversation, I can already tell, has completely shifted the vibe, and they're already like, okay, we want to work with you, right? Because that expertise is established. Yeah.
But a lot of people ask me too, like, do you need a nice car to sell real estate?
You don't. I started with a 1998 Nissan Sentra that was dented on two sides. I rolled up to my first listing. You know where I had my first listing appointment, dude? In a Del Taco.
No.
I got a 6% commission signed on a listing in a Del Taco.
That's how you do it.
It was a beat up house, and I said, you know what, let's meet somewhere. We couldn't meet in the house. I said, okay, let's go down here. We met at a Del Taco. I sat him down in the middle. Like, the employees are walking around like, what are you guys doing here? I'm all dressed nice. You know, oh man, it was a memory. I wish I could have gotten it on video, dude.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah, my first car was, I think it was a 1998 Ford Explorer.
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed. I had like 110,000 miles on it. I was so embarrassed because I'd pull up to these like houses in Bel Air that were like $3, $4, $5 million. I would park a block away, and then really, I'd park a block away like 20 minutes early and then walk up so they would just see me standing outside. And I would get so happy if there was like a nice car parked outside, because I would think that they would just assume that, like, you know, this Rolls Royce is mine because I'm standing right by it. It's right in front of the house. And then I would wait around on my phone for them to leave, and then I'll walk back to my car. So I mean, that's how I got started. But I always tell people too, you don't really need like a flashy car as long as I think it's clean.
Yeah.
You know, I guess just presentable. Same thing with clothing. I think it doesn't matter if it's, you know, Gucci or like Dolce & Gabbana, as long as it's like well-fitting and clean.
Yeah.
I think that's all that really matters.
And the car thing, how many millionaires do you know? I know a bunch that drive Honda Accords. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's who steps out of the car is more important. And I think a lot of people, they fail to make that connection because of social media. All you see now is the vlogs and the cars and all that. People get too caught up in that when you yourself have to be that expert and know your stuff. Because ultimately, when you have that face-to-face with somebody, they're going to pick up very quickly if you're legit or not.
Yeah,
right? And you know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I drive a Prius most of the time. Like the Lotus for me is just like a weekend thing, but the Prius is like 90% of the time, like just mobbing in the Prius, picking up chicks.
Yeah. It's a chick magnet for sure.
Oh my god, they love the Prius.
30 mpgs, drops the panties.
55.
Sure. Oh, 55.
Yeah. What has made you stand out so far over a lot of the other agents? What do you attribute that to?
I think a lot of it is just my dedication to certain aspects, right? I know, and like let's say Zillow, for example. How many agents like fear or loathe Zillow for a lot of reasons, right? So I just started thinking, I said, okay, how can I understand this mechanism, which is misinformation for a lot of people, or it steers them the wrong way and they think, oh, I don't need an agent. A lot of people have these, I guess you can say, these false misconceptions or whatever it's called about real estate. What I wanted to do is through my process of conversations with them and presentations or whatever, is begin to knock over those dominoes, because it's like a domino effect. Once you crack the foundation of like a misinformation about something, it makes the interactions with people so much easier. I think that's really what's done it, is when people talk to me for a couple minutes, all their misconceptions just start erasing and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. I hear that all the time. Really? No one's ever told me that. And that really, to me, is what bridges that connection like really well.
And how do you continue to learn and kind of hone that craft? Is it just like in field, like when you're going and like meeting clients, you kind of get better at it, or do you do any practicing or anything on the side?
I think it's two things. Part of it is a lot of action, right? That's one of the things I promote the most, is you got to be out there, man. You got to be, knocking on doors, you got to be meeting people, you got to be doing the open houses, you have to be out in the field. But a lot of it is just my mindset about the approach. For example, how many times do we hear, oh, I need a local agent, right? I don't know if you know where that came from. Back in the day, when somebody would take their listing to a broker, only that broker could sell the property. I mean, this is before the computers and all that MLS, right? Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that. So if you went with a broker, you had to go with a big local broker to make sure your home sold, but people still stuck with the local agent thing. So in a lot of my dialogues now, I even bring it up before they do. I'm like, I'm sure you would prefer a local agent, right? Do you know where that came from? And I have a little 30-second dialogue, and it just makes that cookie crumble, and then now all of a sudden I'm not getting that question or objection anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's more just coming from like a strategist standpoint, if that makes sense, right? Thinking outside the box a little bit to see how can I get an advantage here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think the more you do too, the more you're accustomed to these sort of questions. That when you get that question like 5 times, you guarantee the 5th time you're asked that, you're gonna have the perfect answer, you're gonna have the perfect response, and then after that, like everything else comes.
And that's where the experience comes in. Because if you're out there talking to people, you're gonna hear it 20 times. And the way it happened with me is I heard so many objections that I couldn't get over. I started writing them down. I was like, man, I got to figure out an answer for this, or else I'm not gonna do any business. So it was like trial by fire, and it just made me get creative and figure it out. Yeah.
So what's your advice then? Because I have a feeling a lot of people watching this want to get into real estate in some capacity, some investors, real estate agent, whatever. What's your advice to someone who's probably in high school, I'm guessing, or like college, or probably under 25 that wants to get into real estate?
I would say just go for it. Anybody you talk to around you has probably never done anything like this that's strenuous and commission work. So everyone's going to tell you, don't do it. If you really want to do it, get your license. It only takes, what, 3-4 months now?
3 months.
Yeah, it's like 3 months.
So
get it
online.
and just go. Watch Graham, watch me, watch the other guys who are actually out there doing it, learn from them, and just go. Just tunnel vision, that's what I tell people. Because if you do that and you're around the right people and you learn from the right people and you just go and you take action, what's going to stop you?
But then let's say you get your license. What's your next step after that you would recommend to people?
Well, aside from just taking a lot of action, is you have to learn sales skills. And a lot of people just want to go around that. They're like, oh, can I just text my leads? Can I just do Facebook messages? You have to learn sales. And I learned from the old school real estate coaches like Mike Ferry. And then, and then I did some, studies aside from that, but you have to really just be an expert with sales and then just outwork everybody, man.
Yeah. I watched a lot of Mike Ferry. I never got into Mike Ferry just because it seems too I know he seemed too salesy for me.
Yeah, too rigid.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm one of these. I feel like I'm the least salesy person out there. Like, I feel like sales are probably, hate to say it, but maybe one of my weaknesses is that I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, I think for me, sometimes these houses just kind of sell themselves. But maybe in not selling it, you're selling it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
With me, it's all about being a chameleon, you know? And the more people I've interacted with, there's some people that I have to give them that nudge because they just, for whatever reason, won't make a decision. Then I have other people that I have to kind of massage them. So to me, I cater my pitch and how I am with each individual, but I wanted to have a full arsenal of skills, right? From the pushy sales guy all the way to the most relaxed surfer type guy. It's like, hey man, take your time, you know? So I want to be able to be like a hybrid, I guess, and be able to just jump between whoever I need to be.
And then what about price points? What about working in different price points and trying to get into like, you know, the 2 million and up, or what have you found that's worked the best for you? Because I think every price range just kind of has its own different clientele and advantages and disadvantages.
What I started doing was when I wanted to break into the higher price point, I just teamed up with another agent. She was a Keller Williams agent at the time. I was still with Century 21, and I just said, hey, you know, I'm young and hungry, teach me. And I asked enough people, and she was like, sure. You know, she's like, you know what? I know that you door knock. I haven't door knocked in like 6 years. Let's go do it. And me and her just got really close, and we started splitting a couple deals and just snowballed from there.
Door knocking and cold calling has been one of those things for me. I can't do it. I've hated it. I actually door knocked, I think it was a week straight in Mar Vista in Los Angeles, and I hated it so much. It was one of those things. You're like, I mean, for you, I'm sure you're so like, it's just it's like, you know, breathing at this point. But for me, it's almost like I wanted to quit. I would rather quit real estate than door knock. And that's how bad it was for me. I remember going up to a few doors and people just like either slamming the door on me or telling me like, get off my property. Like, I'm not selling. And like, but really getting up, and that to me was just like, oh my god, like what? I don't know, I couldn't get over that feeling of just like, they don't want me here.
Of course, I just turned it into a game, man. It's like a rush when I do it now. It's almost like, oh, who can I find, or how many times can I get the door slammed in my face? Like, I would just flip it, but with me, it was just doing it so much, you become numb to any kind of rejection, right? But since I came from that like Mike Ferry, hey, you have to get out there and hustle, roll your sleeves up, it was like monkey see, monkey do, right? I just literally grabbed onto the mentors that I had, and whatever they said, I would do, like to the T. I didn't question it.
And how do you get your leads for cold calling? Like, where do you get those numbers from?
We do the Haynes directory. I don't know if you heard of that. It basically pulls any kind of record for any number. We do Vulcan 7 for the expireds and FSBOs because that can actually get you cell phones and emails sometimes. Other than that, we use another thing called Cole Realty Resource, which pulls cell phones and landlines. And that one spans across the United States too. And
what would you say if you call up a total stranger, their listing just expired, and what's something you would say to them?
An expired, whoa. Well, one of the questions I throw, it's a curveball. I'm like, did this experience turn out the way you thought it would? That's one of the first questions I ask them, because they're usually like, hey, why are you calling me? All these agents call me. So I throw them a curveball like that. I mean, I think Tony Robbins calls it a pattern interrupt. Like, it's something kind of be like, whoa. So I'm all about throwing the curveballs, man, because that's really the only. If you can break past the first 5 seconds with an expired or FSBO, you have a shot. But if you can't get past the first 3 to 5 seconds, good luck.
And then what do you do? Do you try to set up a meeting as soon as possible in person?
My whole mindset is yes, but I don't want to be that guy who's like, hey, we need to get together. Hey, we need to get together. So as time has gone on, I've learned how to refine that, right? So I know when I'm pushing too much, and when it gets a little bit too awkward, I'll back off and just get their cell phone if I haven't gotten it, and just set up a follow-up call, because you know what it's like, because I'm sure you've experienced it where somebody just pushes you too much and you're like, I don't want to talk to that person. So, but I think that's where the experience comes in too, to where you can actually feel people out and you can understand even in the tone of their voice when they're getting a little ticked off,
So I mean, where do you see this taking you at this point? Because you've been selling real estate now as a real estate agent. What's the future?
Well, it's really evolved, man. Now that I opened up my own office and I have my own team, I'm still doing the hustle a little bit, but nowhere near like before. But now I'm doing a lot of trainings now for associations of realtors. I'm doing training for sales companies that are outside of real estate. Just the whole YouTube thing is really blowing up too. I'm selling a lot of products on my website for salespeople. So with me, it's more about just the words in my mind is expansion. Especially the whole speaking thing. It's so fun. I know you said you booked a speaking gig for the new year, dude. I'm sure you're excited.
2018.
And once you get up there, dude, and you do it, you'll see how fun it is. Like, it's really, because you don't realize how affected people get from it. Like, I'll get messages like 6 months later after speaking, like, dude, that speech fired me up. I'm killing it. I'm like, whoa, like, you have no idea, right? This is who I am. I would rather have people that love me and hate me than be like dancing in the middle, where, because I'm sure a lot of people watching this, or you have examples in your life where,
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah, we can accept that interruption. Depending on who they're hanging out with, these people will act differently. I stand for certain things, and certain people are going to connect with it or not, and I'm cool with it. But I think it's having that foundation of knowing what you represent and what you're about that really will have more people gravitate towards you, for sure.
So how would you say, what would be your advice then for people here watching that want to maybe build a brand? How would they go about doing that?
Okay, number one, you have to be ready to put yourself out there all the time. And number two, you have to figure out, because we all as individuals have something that's unique to us, right? You have to find out what your one thing is. Maybe you have the ability to touch people with just a short conversation. Maybe you do have a crazy lifestyle. Whatever it is, find at least one thing that's unique to you and you play off that. It's really that simple, man, because I know a lot of people will get caught up in that, like sitting there thinking. I'm like, the biggest thing you can do is just establish a name, a brand, get out there, pick your one thing that's unique to you and just push it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me too is getting over some of the comments. And that, for me, it took a little while to get used to, because especially in the beginning, some of the comments, like, die, like, you fucking, like, arrogant, sack of shit, you know, just like crazy stuff. And at the very beginning, I was like, whoa, and I had never had these comments before.
Where's this coming from?
Yeah, and I was just like, do they not like me? Why don't they like me? I'm giving them free information.
It happens all the time. Like, somebody will tag me like a day later on Facebook, where somebody will like talk trash, and there's like 20 people having a comment war, like, oh no, he's legit, what are you talking about? So it's cool, but I think that goes back to your brand. You know, if you build a strong brand, people will just really attach to you.
You know, with all the money that you're making from, you know, real estate and this and that, where are you investing it at this point? Are you putting it back in your business, or are you planning to put it more into real estate?
Right now it's going back into my real estate team, and then a lot of it is just properties that I've gotten. I just picked up my 4th property in Texas, and I told you kind of how I was doing that. Yeah. And I never really tell anybody, but I went halfsies with a guy in a duplex here in LA, like years
in LA,
ago.
really?
Yeah, South LA.
Okay.
Yeah, not the prettiest part, but the cash flows. So
I got my West Adams, you got just South LA.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, I believe that area 20 years from now has the most upside, I think, of just about any area right now in LA, in my opinion. I think it's so undervalued.
We see it changing too, like Highland Park and all those areas, man. All the hipsters are coming in. Everything is changing. Like, I drive by there and just seeing it, it's completely different. Just the vibe, just being there, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially the further south you go. I think the more opportunity there is. Right?
For sure.
Long term. Right now, I think you're just getting in at the very beginning, but I think 10, 20 years from now, it's going to do extremely well.
Absolutely.
Like triple, quadruple in value, easily. And it's so undervalued. I mean, that's one of the things when you think about what you get here, and you're spending like $1,000 to $1,300 a square foot easily, and there you could buy it, you know, I don't know, $200 a square foot, $150. Yeah, my duplex, I think I bought $257 a square foot.
Wow.
And it's just like, how the fuck do you get something at that? Like, that's land value, pretty much. Like, you pay the land and then you get the house for free. So that's the way I look at it. So anyway, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't checked out Bryan's channel already, you have to do it. Check it out. Feel free to subscribe. As always, you guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't subscribed to me yet, you got to make sure to subscribe to me right now and smash the like button. And also feel free to add me on Snapchat and Instagram, because I post it pretty much daily. So if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me. Dude,
next video will be in the Lambo.
Deal. So Bryan, dude, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.